Hi, my name is Joshua Watts, and today I'll be doing a speech on conflict resolution with your spouse. Here in attendance, I have 1, 2, my note cards, today, some of you may or may not know, I am in a somewhat considered a complicated relationship. I am in a triad. And with that can come certain aspects of conflict resolution that you may or may not know. There will be some questions, a Q&A at the end of this if you guys want to give some. So just think about that. Some of the conflict resolution things we'll be going over today is how to stop taking conflict personally. Also, what to do in a healthy and unhealthy relationship and how to resolve it that way. Also, if you're religious, and a good portion of the world is, how to deal with it with your religious standpoints. So today, have you ever wondered why you're fighting? Have you ever considered that maybe it's a deeper issue and not something simply just what you're fighting about? One main thing you can do when understanding what the fight is, instead of letting it go deeper and eat at you, is you can stop taking the conflict personally. You can take a step back and think about it. Everyone has different life experiences. Everyone has gone through different things. You may have gone through a traumatic experience in your childhood that makes you think a certain way, and someone may have had a very easy going life and not had to deal with much. So your ways to deal with things may be significantly different. You don't always have to agree with your spouse when it comes to conflict resolution. You just have to come to a healthy decision. With that being said, in that case, when you are having that conflict, you don't want the conflict to become negative, putting down your spouse and having it be very almost abusive. A lot of relationships has that happen, and you kind of want to avoid that. Like I was saying, some people fight for reasons other than what's really there. It could be things as simple as your emotions. It could be something like anger or fear or guilt and shame. You may be fighting about them going somewhere and you not being okay with it as fear of they may leave you. You may be angry because they go out and spend time with their friends, but you want them to stay at home and spend time with you. Instead of causing an unnecessary conflict, you can talk to them about that. Now that we've figured out what and how an argument can start, here are some healthy conflict resolution tips. For a healthy conflict resolution, you can set boundaries. You can agree and disagree. It doesn't have to be both, like I said. And what I mean by set boundaries is set a limit to things. Don't curse at each other. Don't put each other down, like I was saying. Just make it healthy and constructive. Compromise is the big thing in any relationship. You can, let's say you guys want to go to a theme park and one of you loves Disney and one of you loves Universal Studios. Instead of going and fighting about which park to go to, compromise. Stay a little bit at this park and then a little bit at that for the rest of the day, or go to one park one day and a different park the next time you go. You can also consider every option that you have. You can look at outside counsel or advice from other people. Conflict resolution in unhealthy relationships, you don't want to make your partner feel bad, obviously. And if that's happening, you need to figure out a way with your spouse for them to understand that. And if they won't, you need to look at other avenues for that, professional help or otherwise. now that we have the following traditional ways of conflict resolution with a relationship, some of you may be in a religious standpoint and may have certain religious beliefs that constrict you. With religious couples, here are some revolutions you can do with your religious beliefs. You can seek God's will together. You can pray and read scripture on how to work together. There are many scriptures in the Bible that tell you that man and woman are of one flesh and one being, and that if you're not on the same page, that's not okay. It's not the man's job to tell you to force the woman to do so, but you want to work together on that. If there is a conflict, it's okay for her to reach out to a friend, to someone of like-mindedness and religious beliefs, to ask for help. Another thing you do is widen your circle of accountability. Ask for help from others, whether it be a priest, a fellow church member, or a high religious advocate in your church. Your goal is to have oneness with your spouse. And today I think I've given you enough information about that, with seeking God's will and healthy and unhealthy ways to have your conflict resolution, as well as how to understand how it happens. That's it. Now, there are going to be I said there was going to be a Q&A at the end of it. Do either one of you have any questions?
Mm-hmm. If someone is cheating in a relationship, how should the parties deal with that conflict?
Okay, so one way you can deal with that is tell the spouse that you know. Most times people won't say anything. Ask them, if they want to be honest or not. If they don't want to be honest, then there's not much you can do there other than seek an alternative resolution other than something healthy. You can sit down with them and kind of do what I was saying earlier. You take a step back and you figure out why you're fighting, why there's cheating going on, and work through it. Tell them, that's not okay. And if they're not willing to do that and they want to continue fighting, then you have to move on, unfortunately. Next question.
So in a typical triad relationship, obviously there's 3 people.
Yes.
So what if 2 of the party members are having an issue? How does it handle with the outside person?
So in a triad, how does if there's 2 people fighting and 1 not, how would you resolve that?
Yes.
How would the person outside of that resolve the issue? Well, one thing you can do is, in a very constructive manner, because obviously both people will be at wit's end with each other, everyone sit down and you kind of be the moderator, the mediator between the 2. Ask them why they're fighting, get to the deeper issues, and explain to them it's not just one-on-one or one-on-one, it's everyone together. Then once you get to those issues, find out what you can do to prevent that moving forward, and then after that, put that into practice. Hopefully that resolves it. If they don't want to resolve it, unfortunately, you may just be a duo instead of a trio. But most of the time, if they care about each other, they're in a relationship because they care for each other, they will work out the conflict. And that's my speech on conflict resolution.